How do you feel you have lived your years?
Happily. I've been happy in my years. And I've had some really rough numbers to learn about, and that's been okay. I didn't weep about it, but I was mad. I probably slammed a few doors or something. No, my life has been very good, really, because I was allowed to be me. I don't want something else too much. I just want me. We'd been through the Depression. That was enough. Boy, that was a blow. I didn't have a good new pair of shoes for over 2 years. If I needed clothes, Mother made it on the sewing machine. My stepfather was working at a grocery store. Everybody in the Depression took it kind of like it was time to earn our living. The fact of it was we didn't know we were suffering like we hear about it now.
Walter Cronkite.
Oh, wasn't that wonderful? Yeah, liked to hear him talk. He was good. Liked the impression of who he was, a gentleman. And they liked that.
What about landing on the moon?
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah, that was real. And then everybody really exaggerated on that to make it better. But that was a wonderful thing. That was nice. It's been busy and frantic in a lot of ways. Frantic because of the war, the Second World War. This started when I was just a little kid. And then you do this and you put this on, and then I take it all off at night. That's what always makes me laugh. Would you hand me that towel right there? At that time, women they took on every load they needed to. But anything they could learn how to do, they did it. In fact, they did it before the men. And I think that got to be that was their reason to say, I can do this. They don't have to do this all the time. They think they can do it, tell them, and they were good. They were just beavers. And we were proud to do it. We would have been very angry if we hadn't been allowed to do our part. I made drapes that could be hung at night that would hide all the lights in our house. They were trying to invade and they didn't know how to do it, and it was a mess and very scary. We lived on the Sound, and they could come right in with their boats and whatever they were and get out fast. I spent nights up in a tower that they built in Seattle at Three Tree Point, the point part. And they built a big tower on the point. Stay all night, through the night, in the tower and watch for airplanes. That was my job. Yeah. I'm getting my lipstick out so I can put it around the lips.
Oh.
I don't have any fuller lips, so this is gonna till I eat something, and then Jonathan, and I go, meow. It's little again. You don't know what you're going through. This is so dumb. So here comes the lower lip. I left the house right up at Seahurst at 5 minutes after 12, midnight, every night, pitch dark, building up my fantasies. Oh, God, what's that? Oh. Do I hear a motor running, a Japanese motor? That's what we were waiting for. But then I used it too much because I thought, oh, this is great. Wait a minute, I got to think about what color I need. Just a minute. I'm using my good. My eyes disappear if I don't have these. Now, just a minute. Now, see, I'll do one, and you can watch it. Then you can see the other one. Well, I have to because my eyes won't be green if I don't. And if I don't have green eyes, it doesn't look good. Okay, there. Now, see, that doesn't do anything yet. Now, but look how see how faded that is.
There's a difference.
I know it, but it's not the right difference. I haven't finished it yet.
I think you're beautiful. I think you don't need any of it.
And that's what you say, and that's what, that's what the men say too, because they don't want to have to spend the money. How much did that cost?
Look at this book.
What book?
This book.
Oh, this one?
Look at that book.
That's mine. And then there's little things in here that I've put in, and lots of love, from friends. These are just things that I've said. Here it is. And these are so great. These are wonderful little, when you have time. But here it is. Science and Mysticism. And it'll tell you right here how this came about. The next 4 pages are an introduction to quantum mysticism and my own personal experience following. That's what this is. Science and mysticism joining hands, level of matter and levels of mind. Nothing wrong with that. So this is physics coming through. I copied this right down as I was reading it because I thought, wait a minute, this is right. We can never speak about nature without, at the same time, speaking about ourselves. So I wrote this from this guy that wrote it here in some paper that I'd been reading on physics, and I didn't understand any of it. But I connected on a few of these things, and something I'd underline, like objects around us and we ourselves consist mostly of empty space. So why can't we walk through closed doors? So they see it was all baffling to me, but little tiny bits of it. I mean, I want to know more. Okay, here's some more. In January of 2005, I was at home waiting for the Kennedy Center tribute to a cluster of talented people on television and found the physicist Brian Greene giving a lecture on quantum mechanics, a visual example of the ability to walk through 2 solid glass doors, and he did. He showed it. He just showed it on television. You could do that easy with television,
Right.
Movies. But this is what I saw that night, and this is what just, I just could. It was wonderful. It was very clear that science, and mysticism. I put this down. This is my part of mine. Were on the same track, only going about it in different ways. And I still believe that.
What got you interested in mysticism in the first place?
Oh, gosh. Well, so many things. They called it an apport, a gift from the other world. When that package came through the wall, it's right in here. It's just so unbelievable. You won't believe this, I'll tell you. I wanted to get this down. At the time this apport took place, 1960s with a question mark, even bringing up the subject of psychiatrists, trances, many other dimensions, or anything to do with the supernatural, let alone the fact you had or were attending seances, put you into an uncomfortable position, as any explanation only led to more eye-rolling, heavy sighs, and distancing. And you have to back up a little and present how this came about. Dwayne Bennett was called Clink. I knew him well, very well. I trust these people. It scared him half to death. It didn't surprise him. It scared him. Wouldn't you be frightened? What if you were sitting there right now and I look over and I say, what have you got coming out of your wrists? There were little hard stones. It would break through the skin and cause a little blood. And so that's when others began to notice, connect with the University of Washington and whatever it was they call it for the rocks and things that they look up and see how long they've been around. And that's what she did. And it took about 3 weeks for that to come back, for her to hear anything about it. So what came out was that they were 3,000 years old. They were 3,000 years old. These little stones that had been coming out of his skin. and he was at work. He was at work, and he was fixing women's hair at the same time, and they'd start, and sometimes they'd be right here in their mouth. One would be right here on his, and he'd be talking to, well, Hazel, I'll tell you, wait a minute, just a minute. He'd pull this out and be this little stone. And it wasn't a beach stone, it was a nice looking stone, really nice. This particular evening is a compelling, mind-expansive, other dimension jolt that came about for Dwayne Bennett while under a self-induced trance. I'm in the kitchen. This was kitchen stuff. It was just me and Gil.
Who's Gil?
Duffy.
Oh, Gil Duffy.
Gil
Okay.
Duffy and Cookie.
And Cookie.
And me. There's 3. And then Nyla, 4, and Clink, 5. And we were very quiet. We understood with Nyla not to interrupt, because then Clink has trouble coming back in again, and it's a lot of work to get that thing going, I guess. That's what I felt.
Did it take a lot out of him?
Oh, sweat. She had these rags she'd have and wring them out with cool water and then just put it in the back of his neck after he kind of came through. Not the whole thing. It would scare the liver out of him, because he doesn't know he's going through this. He doesn't know he can remember any of it the next day. And there's just one candle on the table, so that's quiet and a little bit of light.
When he would go into these trances, did he speak English?
No, he could talk French.
Did he know French?
No. Clink was somebody else. He was into this other person. He was drowned in the ocean in about 1700? He has a gift for us. And Nyla said, well, that would be very kind of you. Thank you. There's no mark on the wall. I wish there was.
Do you remember seeing it come through the wall?
Yes! A small case that was perhaps 5 inches long by 2.5 inches wide, leather bound in dark brown. It contained what we all thought looked like pictures we had seen of Ben Franklin's glasses, which it did. It was the little glasses, that's what we thought. Happily, Randy Bennett has them after 40 years or more. Instead of language, we have jargon. Now listen to this, is serious. Instead of principles, slogans. Isn't this true?
Yep.
And instead of genuine ideas, brilliant suggestions. And that's it. And here it says, Dorothy, I've written this one with Dorothy Parker because I thought life was oh, life is a glorious cycle of song. A medley of extemporania. And love is a thing that can never go wrong. And I am Marie of Romania. Here's a guy here, and this is serious, and I think this is really, and this is smart. Portuguese poet Fernando Pessoa. If at some time, or some point in time, I had turned left instead of right, you know what this was going to say, it's so good, it's so good, instead of right, if at some moment I had said yes instead of no, or no instead of yes, if in conversation I had used the words which only now I drowsily devise, if all that had been so, and this just, this got me, if all this had been so, I'd be different now, and perhaps God, here she goes, and perhaps the universe itself would be subtly induced to be different too. Isn't that good? I love that. Oh, here's the question. It's Marcel Proust's famous questionnaire. And it comes down, here's some of the questions, and the last one is, what is your motto when you get through summing up all the other things? And it's directing at you. What is your favorite virtue? I mean, it starts down and you just love to read it. Directness. This is mine. Directness and strength with soft edges. What is your favorite color? The Oriental burnished orange red, the forest, and the forest Johnny Jump Up. This is a beautiful yellow. Johnny Jump Ups, how sweet they are and how darling. They're just miniature. That's alive to me, the way it should be. That's the way color should be. Well, what are your favorite authors? If not yourself, who would you like to be? That's a hard one, isn't it? Myself, with a drizzle of the Russian ballerina Natalia Makarova, which I'd loved to have been that. That would have been my life if I could have done it. Where do you always want to live? And I've got always close to the Pacific Ocean. If I can get close to that,
Yeah.
everything's okay. It is a brilliant stillness. Isn't that a nice, aren't those nice words? Oh, here's one Molly wrote. I wrote in Molly's, that tells you the time, and I think you've seen this, maybe. Have you? I was at the house, at the ranch house, and I had plenty of quiet time. Till always took off early in the morning at 5, and he was gone all day. This was in 1986, 8:30 to 8:50. The first thing I said, the name, and that's what this came out, shaky, like this. It's like I couldn't write easily. My question was, are you happy now and at peace? ESP, and then a question mark. Isn't that interesting? I can begin again is the next session. This would be Molly saying, answering it. And then she's got beautiful lessons under that. Super story follows after training. I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, what could it be? And I didn't know where to go with that because I stopped because I didn't know what to do then. Now we go down here. I said, have you been, this is me talking to her, asking her a question. Have you been surrounded by those who we loved that had left us earlier, like Grandma Lawrenson, Tom Moore, and Grandpa Mitchell? And underneath she's written, certainly. And then the next question is, can or will you try to explain your thoughts on March 8th? And evidently that's the day she took her misery. And underneath it said, will you try, the question from me was, will you try to explain your thoughts on March 8th? And all she's got under that is escape. Boy, that's a good one. This is me for her again. I'm missing you in the earthly way. Are you really ready to tell the story? I feel you near, to Molly. Just airs, clear, grateful. Then the next thing, clear, and then grateful. That's all it says. That's on another date, like June 14th. So many people love her. They still talk about her. Truly, she was wiped out at the wrong time. First, I'd love to have her as a big hug. Just this. No noise, no nothing. Just a good, I could just feel it doing this, hug and so forth. And that'd be it. That would be plenty for me. Yeah, that would do it. A stone monument near Citizen Potawatomi tribal headquarters in Shawnee, Oklahoma, marks the area where the U.S. government made its last payment to the Indians for their land. Mm-hmm. Near this spot in 1893, Potawatomi and absentee Shawnee Indians received their last payment. 1877. Isn't that something? Isn't it fun to know these things are so old? But look at this. Isn't this gorgeous? This coloring and how old is still standing? The Trail of Life. Union, tribal reunion rekindles legacy of Potawatomi.
What do you know of our connection to the Potawatomi tribe?
Well, that's where my grandfather, Roughcorn, comes in. I don't think he was that thrilled to be a part of the Indian group. I've always been thrilled at it because it's a beginning of our country with the Indians. You know, just it's a big deal. It's Indian stuff. It means a lot to me of where I settled or came from. My grandfather, Roughcorn, and the name, and all that kind of, you know, I like this. They were beautiful people, and they were they were the beginnings of our life in America. These are old pictures. Look at that. Oh, look, here's this picture we've often mentioned. We're all here together. It's just a kick. Here's Wendy Duffy. Oh, look, here's Moll. Aren't these cute? And Molly, here's Molly right here. I love the little mouth. Look at the little mouth. And those eyes looking at you. It's hard to believe she's not around with us. That's what I wanted. Thought she'd always... Well, I never thought anything about anything like that. It just happened. Yeah. Look at that little face. Isn't that sweet? And look at this cute. Look at this little sweetheart. And here's two of them. Look at them two together. Look at her pouty mouth. Isn't that sweet? Oh, and I love this one here. Look at this with the worried look for Chris. You know, this is Santa Claus. He's worried. She's holding on to his beard. Sweet lumps. I always used to call them lumps. Well, this is Chris crying. Look at him. He was just darling. So cute. Okay, these are so... I love these. I'm so glad you found them. She was probably just in a sophomore or something, maybe. So we'll stick them back and something. No, I love that. Yeah, look at the little face. Little hands, look. Now this one, I love this one. Look at, I've always loved that picture. So we do have some good ones of Moll, and I didn't realize we did. Look at this. That's my dad for sure. No, he has good eyes. It's okay. It's hard to think of that when you come to the actual realization, any minute, you could be gone. And you think, in the process of being gone, and you know you're on your way, that's tough. That's rough stuff. You know, you got to be honest about it. It's better. It feels better to know you're honest. You know it's coming. So what if you don't want to just be miserable all the time? And what good would it do? I like what I have had, and so I'm pleased to. If I go out, I like that thought. Yeah, I'm not got it the way I wanted. I'm okay. I've got to go. You got to go. You know, is what they say. Do you remember Gilda Radner? Here's one of her thoughts for today. I wanted a perfect ending. Life is about not knowing, having to change, taking the moment and making the best of it, without knowing what's going to happen next. That's what she says. That is so darn good.